Advocate Malesela Teffo, the controversial defense lawyer representing for the accused in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, has made explosive claims that he was offered a staggering $45 million to withdraw from the case. The allegation, if proven true, would represent one of the most brazen attempts at witness tampering and legal interference in South Africa's recent judicial history. Speaking in a detailed interview, Teffo insisted that the offer was made by individuals with deep political and financial influence, who he believes are determined to steer the outcome of the trial away from the truth. The Senzo Meyiwa case has been a lightning rod for controversy since the beloved footballer was shot dead in October 2014 at the home of his girlfriend, singer Kelly Khumalo, in Vosloorus. What was initially framed as a random robbery gone wrong has since been mired in allegations of a cover-up, with multiple theories circulating about the true circumstances of Meyiwa's death. Teffo, who has been a vocal critic of the police investigation and prosecution's handling of the case, claims that his aggressive defense strategy has made him a target. "They don't want the truth to come out," he said. "They thought they could buy my silence, but they underestimated my commitment to justice." According to Teffo, the $45 million offer was communicated to him through intermediaries earlier this year, at a critical juncture in the trial, when his cross-examinations were beginning to expose inconsistencies in the state's case. He refused to name the individuals behind the alleged bribe, citing fears for his safety, but suggested they were acting on behalf of powerful figures with vested interest in the trial's outcome. "This is not just about money. It's about controlling the narrative," Teffo claimed. "There are people who cannot afford for certain facts to see the light of day, and they are willing to pay any price to keep them buried." Legal experts have reacted with a mix of concern and skepticism. Professor Thuli Madonsela, former provocateur and now a legal scholar, noted that while such allegations are serious, they require substantiation. An offer of this magnitude, if true, suggests an extraordinary level of desperation to influence proceedings, she said. But without evidence, names, recordings, or documentation, it becomes difficult to assess the credibility of the claim. Others have pointed out that Teffo himself has been a polarizing figure in the trial, frequently clashing with the judge and making unverified claims, which could undermine public trust in his latest revelation. The National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, has not yet issued an official response, but insiders say the allegations are being taken seriously. A senior prosecutor, speaking on condition of anonymity, admitted that the case has been under unprecedented scrutiny. "This trial has always been more than just a murder case. It's a political battleground," the source said. "If someone was willing to offer $45 million to remove a defense lawyer, it means they believe the stakes are even higher than we thought." Meanwhile, the families of the accused have expressed outrage, with one relative stating, "We always knew there were hidden hands at work. Now we see how far they're willing to go." The timing of Teffo's claims is particularly significant, coming just weeks before the trial is set to resume. Observers speculate that the allegation could be a strategic move to delay proceedings further or to pressure court into investigating potential obstruction of justice. However, Teffo insists his only motive is to expose corruption. "I have no interest in theatrics," he said. "My duty is to my clients and to the truth. If they thought they could scare me off with money, they were wrong." As the legal and political fallout from these allegations unfolds, the public remains divided. Supporters of Teffo view him as a fearless advocate taking on a corrupt system, while critics accuse him of grandstanding and muddying the waters. What is undeniable, however, is that the Senzo Meyiwa trial, already a symbol of South Africa's struggles with justice and accountability, has taken yet another dramatic turn. Whether Teffo's claims will lead to a formal investigation or simply fade into the noise of an already chaotic case remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. In a story where truth has often seemed stranger than fiction, the latest revelation only deepens a mystery. The Senzo Meyiwa murder trial has been one of South Africa's most gripping and contentious legal sagas, and at the heart of its many twists and turns stands advocate Malesela Teffo, a lawyer whose involvement has been as dramatic as it has been polarizing. In his entry into the case, his aggressive defense tactics, his sudden resignation, and his continued public commentary on the proceedings have all added layers of intrigue to an already complex trial. Understanding his role requires revisiting how he became involved, what he sought to achieve, why he ultimately stepped away, and why he remains deeply invested in the outcome. Teffo first entered the spotlight in 2021 when he took on the defense of 4 of the 5 men accused of killing the former Bafana Bafana and Orlando Pirates goalkeeper. Meyiwa was shot dead in October 2014 at the home of his then-girlfriend, singer Kelly Khumalo, in what was initially described as a botched robbery. However, inconsistencies in witness statements, allegations of evidence tampering, and persistent public skepticism fueled theories of a cover-up. Teffo, known for his combative style and willingness to challenge authority, positioned himself as a crusader for justice, vowing to expose what he called a sham investigation. From the outset, Teffo's approach was unorthodox and confrontational. He aggressively cross-examined police witnesses, accusing them of fabricating evidence and lying under oath. He also made explosive claims outside the courtroom, alleging that senior figures in the South African Police Service, SAPS, and the National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, were complicit in a plot to frame his clients. His tactics won him admiration from supporters who saw him as a fearless truth-teller, but they also drew sharp criticism from legal peers and the judiciary. Magistrates and prosecutors frequently clashed with him over procedural matters, with some accusing him of turning the trial into a spectacle. One of Teffo's most controversial moves was his insistence that Meyiwa's death was not a random robbery, but a premeditated killing involving people close to the footballer. He pointed to discrepancies in the testimonies of those present in the house that night, including Khumalo and her family members, and suggested that the police had deliberately ignored key leads. His allegations resonated with a public already distrustful of the official narrative, but they also intensified the media frenzy around the case, further complicating an already fraught legal process. However, Teffo's tenure as defense counsel came to an abrupt end in 2022 when he announced his withdrawal from the case. At the time, he cited harassment and unfair treatment by the judiciary, claiming that the presiding judge had shown bias against him and his clients. He also alleged that there had been attempts to intimidate him, including death threats, though he provided no concrete evidence to support these claims. His resignation stunned observers and left the accused scrambling to find new representation, raising questions about whether his departure was a tactical retreat or the result of mounting pressure. Despite no longer being formally involved in the trial, Teffo has remained a vocal commentator on the case. He has given numerous interviews, reiterating his belief that his client are innocent and that the real perpetrators have been shielded by powerful interests. His continued outspokenness has led to speculation about his motives. Some view him as a dedicated advocate still fighting for justice, while others accuse him of seeking attention or undermining the legal process. Notably, he has also hinted at possessing undisclosed evidence that could shake the case to its core, though he has yet to produce it publicly. The reasons behind Teffo's enduring interest in the case are likely multifaceted. For one, his reputation has become inextricably linked to the Meyiwa trial, and its outcome could cement his legacy either as a tenacious defender of the wrongfully accused or as a provocateur who overplayed his hand. Additionally, his allegations of judicial interference and police corruption align with his long-standing critique of South Africa's justice system, suggesting that his involvement is as much ideological as it is professional. As the trial continues without him, Teffo's shadow looms large. His claims, both proven and unproven, have left an indelible mark on public perception of the case, ensuring that every new development is viewed through the lens of his explosive accusations. Whether his theories will ever be validated remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. Advocate Malesela Teffo's role in the Senzo Meyiwa saga has been anything but ordinary, and his influence, for better or worse, is far from over. Advocate Malesela Teffo's involvement in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial became one of the most dramatic subplots in South Africa's recent legal history. Known for his combative style, Teffo took on the defense of 4 accused men in 2021, aggressively challenging the state's case by alleging police fabrication of evidence and witness collusion. His unconventional tactics, including public claims of a cover-up involving high-profile figures, polarized public opinion, casting him as either a fearless truth-teller or an irresponsible provocateur, depending on one's perspective. His abrupt 2022 resignation from the case, citing judicial bias and intimidation, left lingering questions about whether his departure was strategic or forced. Despite no longer representing the accused, Teffo has remained an outspoken commentator on the trial, insisting on his client's innocence and hinting at possessing explosive undisclosed evidence. His continued public engagement suggests both personal conviction and a recognition that his professional reputation remains tied to the case's outcome. The persistence of his allegations, from police corruption to judicial interference, has kept his narrative alive in the public imagination, ensuring that every twist in the trial is scrutinized through the lens of his claims. Yet, without substantiation, his assertions remain a double-edged sword, simultaneously keeping attention on the case's irregularities while risking erosion of credibility. The Meyiwa trial, already a byword for South Africa's struggles with justice and accountability, has been irrevocably shaped by Teffo's involvement. His fiery advocacy and sudden exit exposed fissures in the legal system, from allegations of bias to questions about witness reliability. While the courts must ultimately determine the facts, Teffo's legacy will be judged by whether his warnings of a compromised process prove prophetic or merely polemical. What began as a defense strategy has become a referendum on the very system tasked with delivering justice for Meyiwa, a system Teffo claims is broken, even as he operates within its contradictions. As the trial grinds forward, Teffo's absence from the courtroom has done nothing to diminish his presence in the saga. His allegations of bribes, cover-ups, and institutional rot hang over proceedings like a shadow, a constant reminder of the stakes when power, truth, and justice collide. Whether history remembers him as a gadfly or a whistleblower depends on what the trial ultimately reveals. But in a case where truth has been as elusive as justice, Teffo's greatest impact may lie in forcing South Africa to confront an uncomfortable question. When the system's meant to protect the innocent of themselves accused, who guards the guardians? The answer will determine not just the fate of the accused, but the public's fraying faith in the possibility of a fair reckoning for Senzo Meyiwa.